Hi students, welcome to Amigos IAS Academy. Now let us discuss about one of the most important flagship program of Government of India, that is Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihoods Mission. This is also known as National Rural Livelihoods Mission and Ajivika. This is also known as Ajivika. Before going to discuss about NRLM, we need to understand its roots. In fact, NRLM has its roots in the other earlier programs like IRDP and SGSY. Government of India has initiated a program, namely Integrated Rural Development Program, IRDP, in 1978-79 with a main objective of direct attack on poverty. That means poverty alleviation was the most important objective of this IRDP scheme. So with the intention of reduction of poverty in the country, Government of India has initiated IRDP to provide the self-employment for the unemployed youth or unemployed persons in rural areas. So apart from IRDP, in the same year, another scheme was also initiated known as TRISEM, Training Rural Youth for Self-Employment. So these two schemes together provided the vocational skills or professional skills for the unemployed youth, and the beneficiaries are provided the technological support as well as the financial support for self-employment. So this IRDP has continued till 1999. Under this IRDP scheme, millions of youth were provided employment. But however, there were certain lapses in this scheme. So in order to make it more effective, in 1999, IRDP was modified and it was renamed as Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana in 1999. And under Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana, the rural households are encouraged to form the self-help groups, and those self-help groups were provided training to acquire certain professional skills or vocational skills to raise the self-employment. So the difference between IRDP and SGSY was, under IRDP, benefit was directly provided to the poor households. So they have adopted a target group approach. The target group was poor households or the people below the poverty line. But under SGSY, the benefit is not exactly provided to the individual household, but to the group of persons who are part of the self-help groups. So that SGSY has continued till 2011. Though SGSY was a successful program, but certain modifications have been made in SGSY, and that has been renamed as National Rural Livelihoods Mission. So under NRLM, the forward and backward linkages are provided, and unemployed youth as well as the members of the self-help groups, more specifically women, were provided certain skills, more specifically vocational skills or professional skills, to establish their own business or to establish certain cottage industries or small scale industries so that they can create self-employment on their own. So, technically, NRLM was launched in 2011, but in 2015, in November 2015, NRLM was renamed as Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihoods Mission, now which is in operation. So now NRLM is being implemented with a title that is Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihoods Mission. And Ministry of Rural Development is the nodal agency to implement this scheme. Now let us examine the objectives of this scheme. As far as objectives are concerned, first one is to reduce rural poverty by enabling rural households to access gainful self-employment and skilled wage employment opportunities. This is very important. To reduce poverty. Reduction of poverty is the main objective of this scheme. That is why NRLM is also considered as a poverty alleviation program, and it is also considered as an employment generation program. So, this poverty reduction has to be achieved by enabling poor households to access gainful self-employment and skilled wage employment opportunities. So, the focus of this scheme would be on providing a gainful self-employment or the skilled wage employment. Okay. So, this is the major difference between MGNREGS and NRLM. MGNREGS mainly focuses on wage employment, whereas NRLM mainly focuses on self-employment and of course also the skilled wage employment. That means under NRLM, the skills are provided to the unemployed youth or unemployed persons so that either they can create self-employment on their own or they can engage themselves in the skilled wage employment. So, this is the main objective of NRLM. Then coming to other aspects, to mobilize 10 to 12 crore rural households into self-help groups in a time-bound manner by 2024-25. Then as I said earlier, under MGNREGS, the people who are willing to take up the manual work, right, they are provided wage employment. So, they need not have any skills. And under MGNREGS, skills are not provided. Only the wage employment is provided for the rural poor. But when it comes to NRLM, the first one is that rural households are encouraged to form the self-help groups, and the benefit is provided to the self-help groups, not to the individual as such. So, that is why under NRLM it is determined to mobilize around 10 to 12 crore rural households into self-help groups in a time-bound manner by 2024-25 to bring about a sustainable improvement in the livelihoods of the poor through building strong community institutions. So, this is the difference between IRDP, SGSY and NRLM. Under NRLM, not only the poor rural households are identified, but they are encouraged to form the self-help groups, and through those self-help groups, a strong community institutions are built, and through that they will be encouraged to acquire the skills, and also they will be encouraged to establish their own cottage industries or small scale industries, or they can start any business through which they can create self-employment for themselves. So this is the main objective of NRLM. Then another point is to establish efficient and effective institutional platforms of the rural poor that enable them to increase household incomes through livelihood enhancements and improved access to financial and public services. Then another point is that to reach out to 7 crore rural poor households, of which 4.5 crore remain to be mobilized into the self-help groups. This again very important point, to reach out to 7 crore rural households, of which 4.5 crore remain to be mobilized into self-help groups. That means the focus of attention of this scheme is to encourage the people to form self-help groups and to extend the benefit to the self-help groups. So why? Because whatever the benefit, whether technological support or the financial support that is being provided by the government through this scheme, that should be long lasting. So therefore, in order to have a sustainable livelihood opportunities for the rural households, the self-help groups are encouraged, and self-help groups are provided both financial and technological support for them. Then the target group, as I told you, the poor rural households are the target group under this scheme. Then what are the key features of this scheme? If we carefully go through the features of this scheme, the first one is, it is a centrally sponsored program that promotes multiple livelihoods for the rural poor households across the country. Then second one, the mission involves working with community institutions through community professionals in the spirit of self-help. This is the unique proposition of Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihoods Mission. It is implemented by special purpose vehicles with dedicated implementation support units at the national, state, district and block levels. It is implemented by special purpose vehicle. That means the specialized agencies are created by the government with the persons who have expertise in different fields, and these specialized agencies are created at national level, state level, district level and also block level, and these agencies actually provide the training to the members of the self-help groups or the members of the community institutions, and through that the rural households can acquire certain professional skills, vocational skills, which will be useful to create self-employment in future. And another important aspect under NRLM is that the networking of the self-help groups. So the networking of the self-help groups is being done at block level, then all the self-help groups in a block are connected to the district level network, and all those who are at district level they will be connected at state level. So likewise, all the self-help groups in the villages are encouraged to form their own federations. The federations are established at block level, district level, state level, and also national level, so that the members of all these community institutions can share their knowledge, can share their experiences, and they can avail the support from other agencies, so that they can have a sustainable livelihood opportunities for their future. So this is the main objective of NRLM. Then universal social mobilization. At least one woman member from each identified rural poor household is to be brought under the self-help group network in a time-bound manner. Special emphasis is particularly on vulnerable communities. So again, we have to focus on this point. That is, at least one woman member must be identified from the rural poor households, right? And they have to be encouraged to take part in the activities related to the self-help groups and community institutions. So that means this kind of uh, initiative would help for the economic empowerment of women in rural areas. And another point is that the special emphasis on the particularly vulnerable communities. The vulnerable communities are like scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, most backward castes, minorities, and the women who are in risk conditions, women who are discriminated by the community. So such kind of persons need to be brought under the NRLM network. Okay, so this is one aspect. Another one, participatory identification of poor. Instead of the BPL, that means instead of BPL, participatory identification of the poor. This is a new concept initiated under NRLM. The PIP means, that is participatory identification of poor, is a community driven process where the CBOs themselves identify the poor in the village using participatory tools. The list of poor identified by the CBOs is vetted by the Gram Sabha. That means the poor who actively involve in the social and economic activities of the self-help groups are identified as the beneficiaries. So that means just BPL, that means below poverty line, is not exactly the criteria, but women are encouraged to take part in the activities of the self-help groups, and they will be identified as the beneficiary, and so that they get benefit under this scheme. And the list prepared by this participatory identification of the poor, that must be vetted by, that must be discussed by, and ultimately approved by the Gram Sabha. Then revolving fund and community investment fund. So these are again two important concepts related to NRLM. Revolving fund and community investment fund as resources in perpetuity to the institutions of the poor. to strengthen their institutional and financial management capacity and build their track record to attract mainstream bank finance. So, the members of the self-help groups and community organizations, they are trained how to avail the financial assistance from the banks or other financial institutions, and how to manage those finances, and how to repay the loans, and how to multiply those finances. With regard to all these aspects, the members of the self-help groups are trained by the agencies of NRLM at block level, district level and state level. Then financial inclusion. This is another unique feature of NRLM. It promotes financial literacy among the poor and provides catalytic capital to the self-help groups and their federations. That means the financial literacy is provided to the rural poor who are members of the self-help groups and also their federations. Then livelihoods. NRLM focuses on stabilizing and promoting existing livelihood portfolio of the poor in farm and non-farm sectors, building skills for the job market outside, and nurturing self-employed and entrepreneurs for micro enterprises. So these are the various types of livelihoods, right, that are created for the benefit of the members of the self-help groups and the members of the SHG federations and community institutions. Again, I would like to repeat this point, that NRLM focuses on stabilizing and promoting existing livelihood portfolio of the poor in farm and non-farm sector. That means whatever the livelihoods they are deriving in a farm sector or non-farm sector, that will be further stabilized to have the sustainable livelihood opportunities. Then apart from that, building skills for the job market. Under this scheme, especially the rural unemployed youth are provided vocational skills to get an employment in the job market. Then another one, nurturing self-employed and entrepreneurs. That entrepreneur skills are provided for the rural households so that they can establish their own micro enterprises. So these are the important economic activities that are being initiated as part of NRLM. So that means these kind of activities actually provide an opportunity for the people to have the sustainable livelihood for them. Then another point is that 25% of NRLM funds are earmarked Ajivika skill development program. I told you in the beginning that NRLM was also known as Ajivika. So around 25% of the NRLM funds are earmarked Ajivika skill development program. That means Ajivika skill development program facilitates building the skills of the rural youth and placement in a relatively high wage employment in the growing sectors of the economy. This is again very important point related to NRLM. Under NRLM, through this Ajivika skill development program, the skills are provided, that is professional skills are provided for the rural youth, and they will be provided the placement. that is placement in relatively high wage employment in the growing sectors of economy. This is a very important point which you need to understand. Then NRLM is encouraging public sector banks to set up rural self-employment training institutes in all districts of the country on the lines of rural development self-employment institute model. In fact, uh, under NRLM, this rural self-employment training institutes are established in almost all the districts to provide the vocational skills for the rural youth. And whatever the grants that are required for the establishment of these rural self-employment training institutes are drawn from the public sector banks. So that is why Government of India through NRLM is encouraging public sector banks to be set up rural self-employment training institutes in all districts, and those who are trained in these rural self-employment training institutions will be also provided the financial assistance for the establishment of their own micro enterprises or the small scale industries through which they can create self-employment. So these are the important aspects related to National Rural Livelihoods Mission. So in this context, I would like to tell you that first of all, you need to understand the genesis of this program. As I said earlier, the roots of NRLM could be seen in IRDP as well as SGSY. Initially, IRDP was started in 1978 and 79 with the main objective of a direct attack on poverty. Then later on, it was restructured and renamed as Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana, which has continued up to 2011. And in 2011, SGSY has been again restructured and renamed as NRLM. And with the same structure, same features, same objectives, NRLM is still continuing even today. But only thing is that in 2015, NRLM has been renamed as Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihoods Mission. So the main focus of NRLM is to encourage the rural households to form the self-help groups, and these self-help groups are encouraged to form their own federations, and apart from that, to build the community institutions to generate livelihood opportunities in different regions of the country. And another important aspect is that different agencies are created at block level, district level, state level, and national level. And these agencies actually provide the training for the members of the self-help groups or federations of the self-help groups or the community organizations. So likewise, under NRLM, training, skill development, financial support, technical support, marketing support, all such kind of forward and backward linkages are provided under NRLM. So these are the important aspects related to NRLM. Then when it comes to its impact, in fact, because of the successful implementation of NRLM, large number of rural youth have undergone training and they have acquired the professional skills in various fields. So that means NRLM has contributed to transform the unskilled youth as the skilled youth. That is one positive impact of this program. Second, large number of rural youth who have undergone training under NRLM are able to create self-employment on their own. Most of them, they have established their own micro enterprises. They have established their own cottage industries, small businesses. They have established their own small scale industries. So that means they are not only able to create employment for themselves, but they are able to provide employment for others also. Then third, the financial assistance is provided for these micro enterprises through the public sector banks. So that means because of the significance of this program, many public sector banks have come forward to provide the financial assistance to these trained youth who are the members of the self-help groups or network of the self-help groups. And another important aspect is that the repayment of the loan rate has improved very much. Why? Because now the loan is provided not to the individual but to the group of individuals who are all members of the self-help groups. So therefore, now it is binding on the part of the members of the group to repay the loan. So because of the circulation of money, people are able to improve their economic status. So that is why there is so much of economic development in rural areas because of the successful implementation of this NRLM. And another important aspect is financial inclusion. This is again very important. The financial literacy has very much improved among the rural poor households. So now they are able to manage money and they are trained how to get the financial support and how to make use of that money for their economic development and how to manage these finances for sustainable livelihood opportunities. So all these are the advantages with NRLM. And on the whole, we can say that NRLM has contributed to the economic transformation in rural India. Large number of villages have been transformed in rural areas, and there is so much of economic transformation in both farm sector and also non-farm sector. More specifically, agriculture related agro-based industries were established in rural areas, and small businesses have been established and now they are doing very well, and many micro enterprises have been established and they are providing employment opportunities to the rural people. So there are many positive aspects with regard to NRLM. So all these points are very important while analyzing about the objectives of NRLM and its social impact on the society. So therefore, the student has to focus on all these points related to Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihoods Mission. Thank you.